Want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons. Thank you so much for all of the continued support. Hey everybody, so it is the first of the month, and that means it's time to talk about my January to be read list, or commonly referred to as the January TBR. But before we go into the books, let's talk about the December TBR contest. So as you probably know, each month I run a contest where we predict how I will score all the books I'll read in the upcoming month. The top 3 spots win, and winners are highlighted in my TBR video. And if you win twice, you get to pick a book for me to read and review. Since the start of the contest, we've now had 48 different winners, and we now have 7 people that have won twice and got to pick a book. Last month, we had 274 contestants, which is an all-time high, but every month we have an all-time high, so I guess that's not a big distinction, and I hope you will join this month. So click the link down below in the description to officially submit your picks, and join the Discord to follow along with updates after each book. So the TBR gold medal winner was J. Marks, who got 5 out of 7 correct and only missed a total of 2 points. The silver medal was a 5-way tie between Ginger Nightmare, Josh Swain, Rodrigo, Sam B, and Simon. They also got 5 out of 7 correct, but missed a total of 3 points. And the bronze medal went to RW, who also got 5 out of 7 correct, but missed 4 total points. Josh Swain has now won twice and got to pick a book for me to read this month. Congrats to him, and a big shout out to his son Liam, who also watches this channel, and more on what his pick was a little bit later in the video. So the book that most people got right was of my 5-star review of The Will of the Many by James Islington. 133 people got that right, which is about 48%. The book most got wrong was my 1-star review of *𝐶𝐸 by Madeline Miller, and only 9 people got that correct, which is about 3%. The worst score was 0 out of 7, scored by 35 people, and the average score was 1.99 out of 7. So now let's go over the books that I'll be reading this month, and what I know about them, and what I think that I will score them. So, the first up is The Bone Shard Daughter. This is the first book in the Drowning Empire series by Andrea Stewart. I'll be doing this on audiobook, should finish this up on the 2nd of the month. I've already been reading it for quite a while. I was actually on the TBR contest last month, but because of the holidays, I have not been doing much audiobook because I listen to a lot of audiobook while I'm driving, and I'm not really doing any driving because I'm not going to work. I'm doing some work from home and stuff, and taking a little vacation time to spend with my family. This one's not very long. It's only 496 pages, and I'm not going to tell you what my prediction is today, but I'll tell you what my prediction was before I started it, and that was 4 out of 5. I can say a little bit about what this book is about. I don't want to spoil anything because I'm going to be doing my review, and I'll probably release it on the 3rd, maybe the 4th. But it's a multi-POV story told about 3 different people. All 3 have a separate audiobook narrator, which is kind of cool. It's 2 young women and a man, or I think there's actually 4, but the 4th one doesn't really get a lot of time. One of which is the emperor's daughter, who is trying to learn how to do magic. The other is a sailor pirate. He's not a pirate. He's actually a smuggler. And the last is the daughter of a local governor. And they all kind of intermingle in it in a kind of interesting tale with magic. And I don't really want to say too much more than that so I don't ruin it. But yeah, that's what Bone Shard Daughter is all about. Then is Of War and Ruin. This is part of The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. This is book number 3 of the main series, but I think overall book number 5 because he does novellas in between each of them. I'm doing this in regular book form. Should finish this up on the 3rd. It is 1,483 pages, so a big old book. And what I predicted, because I'm telling you what my prediction was before I started it, because I'm almost done with it, and my prediction was 5 out of 5. That's not the question you're going to be asked, though. You'll see in the TBR contest, but it's going to be a little bit more complicated than that. The question's going to be, what do I think about it compared to the second book in this series of Darkness and Light? And that one I gave 5 out of 5, top tier 5 out of 5, so it's going to be like, did I like this one a lot more, a little more, the same, a little less, or a lot less? So making it a little more complicated for you. Then it will be The Engineer. This is the second book in the Last Horizon series by Will White. I'll be doing this in book form. Should finish this up around January 7th. It's 419 pages, and I'm predicting a 5 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly loved The Captain, the first book in the series. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite books that I read in 2023. Will White comes out with at least one book a year. He's very prolific in the indie writing scene. He is more popular for writing the Cradle series, which I also loved. I didn't love how the series ended, but overall still very, very positive thoughts on the series. The first book in this one I thought was better than anything from Cradle, and I love Cradle. So that's how much I loved the first one. You're going to get a similar question here in the TBR contest about what did I think about it compared to The Captain, making it more complicated. But, you know, I like it when not everybody can get every single one right. Makes it a lot more fun, and you earned it when you get it right. This series is action-packed, just super fast. Each book is kind of recruiting a different member of this space fighting unit with this magician, space pilot. Just a fun read, and I can't wait to get to this next one, The Engineer. Then I will be doing And Then There Were None, and Then There Was None, or Were None. This is the book picked by Josh Swain for winning the TBR contest twice. This is a book by Agatha Christie. I'll be doing this in book form. Should finish this on January 8th. Really short book, only 272 pages. I'm guessing 3 stars. I don't love normally the classics, and this one is one of the most popular books in American history. It is... I don't know anything about it, though. Literally, I don't know anything about it. I do know what the original title was, and it's pretty disturbing. I'll let you look that up by yourself. And then the next title was also not great. And then, but we're here on a socially acceptable title, and that's great. But yeah, know nothing about it other than everyone has to read this apparently at some point in their life, and that's going to be me this month. We'll figure out what I think. Then will be Son of the Black Sword. This is book 1 of the saga of the Forgotten Warrior. This is part of the Patreon wheel. So on Patreon, people can put a book in a big spin wheel, and I spin it, and whatever wins, I have to read and review. This one is written by Larry Correia, who was already a rather prolific author, I believe. But this is his first foray into fantasy, I think. I'll be doing this in book form. Should finish this up on January 13th. It's average size, 544 pages, and I'm predicting 4 stars. Why 4 stars? Because I know nothing about it, and that's about my average. I know that it's kind of an epic fantasy story. Some of the very basic things I saw from some people that I know that have reviewed it. I didn't read the reviews, but just kind of like initial thoughts. I kind of was like, oh, that kind of sounds like something I'm interested in. Yeah, I like these kind of, maybe it's a darker story. I don't really know anything about it. I try so hard not to know about books before I get into them, which kind of makes these TBR videos a little bit more boring, but yep, that's my thoughts. Then I'll be reading The Heroes. This is the second standalone book in the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. I'll be doing this on audiobook by the wonderful Stephen Pacey, my favorite audiobook narrator of all time. Finishing this one up around January 13th. It is 592 pages, and I'm going to predict 5 stars. Now, when I read it initially, I believe I gave it 4 stars. This is my first time doing a reread of it. And I'm predicting higher because, in general, I've been liking my First Law books more the second time around. Most notably, the first standalone book, I also gave a 4, and that one was, what was it? Best Served Cold. And I initially gave it 4, but then I gave it a 5 on a reread. So I'm looking at this one differently. This is a 3-day battle, and it's really just all about this battle. It can kind of almost be read as a total standalone from the series, although it's better if you're kind of used to the world and some of the characters involved in it. But the first time I got lost, and I think it was my fault, but I kind of wanted to look at maps. I wanted to follow along what was going on in this battle. When I look at battles, I really like to visualize them. I love military maps, and I'm sure that exists for this one. I'm going to look it up. I want to take some time in between my audiobook reads to kind of like picture everything on a map and kind of slow down and really visualize it and give it the attention that I think it deserves. Next up after that is Children of Time. This is the first book in the Children of Time series. This one was the Patreon vote. So every month on Patreon, I also put 5 books out there that I'm interested in reading, and then whatever the highest one is, I'll read and review that month. And this one won. It's by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I'm also reading a fantasy series of his. I think the only fantasy series of his. Shout out to the app, and I love it. This is a sci-fi book, which is all he writes now, I believe. I'm reading this in book format. Should finish this up around January 18th. 640 pages, and I'm predicting 4 stars. It's a sci-fi book, which... brings down what I normally think of somebody like 𝐂𝐮𝐲𝐬𝐿 Tchaikovsky, because I don't like sci-fi as much as I like fantasy. Now, that's changing a little bit. I've been reading a lot of sci-fi lately that I've actually been loving. I read The Three-Body Problem, most notably The Black Forest, which I was just obsessed with. Project Hail Mary, I loved. Absolutely, to die for is all the Sun Eater books, which is kind of fantasy sci-fi blend. But so I'm warming up to sci-fi. I know this one vaguely is about, I think, like the ending days of Earth, and then, Earthlings moving to another planet, I think. But yeah, nothing else that I know about that. Wish I could say more. Next up is The Coming of Conan the Cimmerian. This is part of the Conan the Cimmerian series. This is picked by Tim S.P., twice TBR winner. And this is the original Conan writer, Robert E. Howard. I think he's the original. This is in book format. Should finish this up around January 23rd. 496 pages, and I'm guessing 3 stars. Now, I can't imagine I'm going to love this one. Maybe I will, because, look, I don't normally love older fantasy stories. It's hard for me to fall in love with them. Now, some I do, most notably the 𝐓𝐿 saga. I've been loving those. But all the other ones I have some major faults with. Even Lord of the Rings I have, pretty significant faults with. And Conan, I know that it's different, but my image is like Arnold Schwarzenegger and very corny. I'm not imagining a very, deep plot here. I hope that I'm totally wrong on this. Maybe I'm like, man, I'm such a Conan fan now. That'd be awesome. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's go with 3 stars. Then is The Butcher's Masquerade. This is book 4, I think, or 5 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5. I'm doing this in audiobook by the amazing Jeff Hayes, one of my all-time favorite audiobook narrators. Should finish this up near the end of the month, January 28th. It's 732 pages. I've got some 4 stars. Now, I'm a big Dungeon Crawler Carl fan. I have loved some of the books. One of the books I thought was just okay. One of them I thought was pretty good. And then I loved a couple other ones. So I really like this series. I love the general idea of this character, battling against everyone on Earth, dungeon crawling down and down because aliens are forcing him to see if he can win some intergalactic, game show that everyone, bajillions of people are watching and betting on, and prizes and, loot and magic items and stat boosts. And it's like a video game, but really cool in audio format. On a book. It's just awesome. And so 4 stars, I think, is kind of the average of what I've been thinking about these things. So we'll see. I'm hoping it's 5, though. I get a sense that it might be 5 because the progression, I liked. I love the first one, didn't love the second one. Love the third one, didn't love the fourth one. Gotta love the 5th one, right? Then last up is The Fourth Wing. This is part of the 𝐬𝐵HRIN series by Rebecca Yarros. I'm doing this in book format. Should finish this up around January 28th as well. Only 528 pages, and I'm guessing 2 stars. So why am I willfully reading a 2-star book? Well, my wife does not normally read novels, and I've been trying to get her to read them for a while. Her friends do. Her friends are really big into the Sarah J. Maas books. And so she was giving the Sarah J. Maas books a chance, and I was like, hey, if you finish one of these fantasy books, I will also read it, and we'll do a review together. And she's like, yeah, sounds great. But she keeps trying the Sarah J. Maas books and then drops out of them and can't get into them. Well, I know she was trying the Fourth Wing book, and then like a few days later, she's like, hey, get ready to do a review because I'm flying, and I love this book, and I'm definitely going to finish it. So she's already done, and she's already like busting through the second one. She's just like obsessed with these things. I can't imagine I'm going to love them. This is like a romance fantasy story in the Sarah J. Maas mold, I think. Seems kind of YA, I think. I don't really know a lot about it, but I feel like I'm not going to like it. I just had a lot of pleasant things to say about Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. That's the most fantasy of her books, I think, and I gave that a 2 stars. So yeah, should be entertaining, hopefully, and you get to meet my wife, and she'll do an interview with me, and we should have a good time and have some balance, maybe, between somebody who doesn't like it and somebody who does. Hopefully, it's 2 people that just love it. Maybe I'm just like, boom, this is the fantasy romance story that I've been waiting for to, push it over and make it worth my while. Before I end, I need to I need to mention, I totally forgot to mention, but Children of Time is going to be the buddy read this month. So if you're interested in reading that along with me, I think we're starting it around the 14th. I'll do some advertisements on the channel, on my community feed, but come join the Discord if you want to take part in that. You'll see the channel, but if not, just ask around and somebody will lead you to it. But I'd love to have you do a read along with me and we could talk about it on a daily basis. So those are the books I'm reading. Please join the contest. Click down below to take part. It's a lot of fun. Join the Discord so we can talk about it. And you can follow along in the standings. And so that's it for me. And as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier and Librarian tier patrons: Anna G, CJ, Doust, Darren, Gregory, Jonathan, Nathan T, Nev's Book Channel, 𝐓𝐿𝐷𝐸, Ron Reich, Russell, Ryan L, Sydney Baker, Tay C, Tahir, Anna, Andra, Blair, Brock, Evan, Fanixan, Harry B, Joe, Cat Mick, Michael Sugarman, Philippe, Sky, TW57, Wacky, and Zion. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video, and if you want to watch some more content from my channel, click over here and I've got some good videos for you. Thanks so much.